The Red Star is a mysterious but powerful construct that orbited around the planets which Matanui visited, and by the time of the culmination of the Bionicle story, it orbits Ferris Magna. Yet it also served as a place in which deceased inhabitants of the universe could be sent. Due to a malfunction, these souls were unable to return and remained trapped. Let's look at the named beings we know who are currently on the Red Star, and how they got there. The first two beings I'm not going to dwell on too much, as their deaths are covered in other videos of mine, but they are Botar and Guardian, from the Order of Matanui and the Dark Hunters respectively. Now, a rule of the Red Star's power of revival is dependent on two main factors. They must be of a physical body, so Makuta in their antidermis evolutionary state could not be revived, and said physical body mustn't be destroyed or damaged too much. This is why Sidorak wasn't revived following his death at the hands of Kitongu. While I struggle to imagine how Botar's death at the hands of Makuta Icarax could not have destroyed his body, he was still eligible for revival on the Red Star somehow. The same goes for Guardian, who was pulled under the earth and killed by Pterodax following his takeover of the universe. The next two inhabitants of the Red Star are subtly linked. The original Hydraxon, the very one who trained the newly created Toa Mata on Daxia, perished during the Great Cataclysm and the ensuing mass breakout at the pit. The finishing blow came from Takedox. It wasn't the end of Hydraxon's tale, however. While the original Hydraxon was sent and remains to this day on the Red Star, the power of the Kanoe Ignika transformed the Matoran Daykar into a duplicate of the deceased Order of Matanui member. This led him to resume his duties as jailer on the pit, bringing him into conflict with former inmate Nocturn. The pair fought, with Hydraxon's superior mastery of weapons bringing him victory in the end. Nocturn had fired a sea squid at him, and he doubted it was to provide him with a loving pet. Hydraxon hurled a razor-edged boomerang and sheared the monstrous creature in half. Even then, its tentacles still crawled across the floor, trying to reach him. Before Nocturne could react, Hydraxon drew and hurled one of his back-mounted blades, knocking the squid launcher from his enemy's hand. Nocturne lashed out with his tentacle, wrapping it around Hydraxon's waist and drawing the jailer towards him. Hydraxon aimed his Kordak blaster at a nearby rock and fired, blasting it to rubble. Hydraxon mentally triggered his other back blade. It arced up into the water and came down, pinning Nocturne's tentacle to the ocean floor. Hydraxon seized the moment to bring a leg up and kick Nocturne off of him. Then the jailer drew back his arm, ready to hurl a wrist blade right at Nocturne. Nocturne's shoulders slumped. Keeping an eye on his captive, Hydraxon stepped around him and picked up the glowing Kanohi mask. Imprisoned once again in the pit, Nocturne perished while trying to escape the prison as the Matoran universe was destroyed. I'm sure that he and Hydraxon have plenty to talk about while they remain stranded on the Red Star together. The next named being we know is currently on the Red Star may well be one of the earliest characters to have been sent there. He who was a Ko-Matoran who recruited Nuju as a scholar in one of the Ko-Metru's knowledge towers. He who would go on to become a close friend and mentor to Nuju until his life was tragically cut short in a Nui-Rama attack. His legacy can be seen in Nuju's naming of the Ko-Wahi mountain in a late Matoran's honour. Satisfied, he began the long trek down the side of the mountain. As he did, he remembered the words of the Ko-Matoran sage who had first recruited him for work in the knowledge towers. Nuju had been wondering how long it might take him to become a seer, a position of great importance in Ko-Metru. His mentor had simply smiled. "You are mistaken, Nuju," he had said. "All of life is a journey, and the journey is not about how high you climb or how far you walk. It is about what you learn on the way, and how you choose to use that knowledge. Use it to help others, and the glory of Matanui will live inside you. Use it only for yourself, and though you may walk among us, you will have no more spirit than a block of protodermis." Nuju turned and looked back up at the summit. "In the memory of a friend, who now sleeps the sleep of shadows," he said to the mountain, "I give to you his name. From this day on, you will be Mount Ihu." The other named Matoran on the Red Star is Mavra, a former archivist in Metru. His research project into the underwater Rahi consumed him so greatly that he fled the city following Doom's cancellation of the study, and would go on to attack the Toa Metru as they ferried the Matoran through the Great Barrier. In the ensuing battle, Mavra fell into violent waters surrounding the city and perished, presumably from drowning. The next two characters we know are on the Red Star are, or were, Toa. Now at Uraga, Likan sacrificed himself to save Toa Vakama from Pterodax's shadow hand, knowing that he still had a destiny to fulfill. Likan's selfless act here is just another reason on an already long list of why he's among my favourite characters from the entire story. And lastly, there is Jovan. This former Toa, now a Turaga, would have technically perished at a roughly similar time to Likan. As the Toa Mangai of Fire was throwing himself into the path of Pterodax's Shadow Hand, the universe was in disarray as the effects of the Great Cataclysm took hold. Jovan, at this point a Turaga of Boyanui, died as his home split from the rest of the southern continent and ascended violently towards the surface of the planet. And that completes our look at all the named characters we know who are on the Red Star, and the nature of how they got there. As a bonus, there is one specific Matoran potentially on the Red Star. In the story serial The Many Deaths of Toa Tuya, some Matoran are found murdered in horrific ways, presumably at the hands of the Dark Hunters. If you've read the story, you'll know that isn't the case. Anyway, 2 of the Matoran died in too brutal a way to be able to be revived on the Red Star. One, however, who was drowned, fits the criteria to be revived, as we know from Mavra, who also died in a similar way. What are your thoughts on the Red Star? Do you like it as a story element, or do you think it undermines or devalues the impact of death in the Bionicle storyline? As always, thank you for watching, and if you're watching this near release, have a very happy Christmas.